This Rick and Morty laser costs between $31 and $55. But I wonder, why not make it myself using 3D printing? Is it complicated? How long will it take me? And above all, is it really worth it? Today we are going to build this laser gun from Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is one of my favorite TV shows, and I love it because of its humor and all the cool objects we can find on this series, which are sometimes cool and sometimes are pretty weird. But for this project I choose to start simple with this iconic laser gun, and I will combine 3D modeling and 3D printing. But this time I'm going to become Rick Sanchez, because I'm going to do some experiments with that unique filament that will allow me to achieve a smooth surface without sanding. Stay with me to discover this secret filament, but above all to discover if it's better to make it or buy it. Let's go! But before we start, I need to get ready for this project. For this project, I received a very important package that was so necessary for this build. Come on, we all knew that for this video I needed to be Rick Sanchez. Anyway, after searching on the internet for around 15 minutes, I found out two interesting things. The first one is that it's very hard to find this laser gun on the market. Of course, you can find it on eBay, but the price will depend on the seller. And the second thing is that this laser gun can be found on gray color and blue color. And this is the same on the series. That's why for this project I will create both versions. And for the blue version I will use this unique filament, and it's going to be my first time using it. For this filament you can use a liquid that will smooth out the surface, but more of that later on this video. Before we start, and to measure the real cost of fabrication of this project, let's define three different categories. The first one will be 3D modeling. For this project I will 3D model this laser gun, and I will measure how much time I will spend doing this. The second one will be materials, and for this category I will count filament and also paint. And for the third one I will measure labor. For labor I will count how much time I will spend assembling and also doing the paint job. And to ease calculations, I will use an hourly rate of 15 euros. As always, I read and answer all the comments that you left on my videos, so please, if you have any suggestions on the hourly rate or another categories, please let me know. Let's start with 3D modeling. I started this project with a reference image that I had to scale. I then drew the silhouette, but only half of it. Like this, I can just revolve and complete the first part. To 3D print this part with multiple colors and avoid as much as possible the waste, I'm going to model it with separate parts. This for sure will make 3D printing much easier. It took me about 1 hour to model it, which already brings us to 15 euros. For 3D printing, I exported the file in 3MF format. Prusa Slicer recognizes all the parts of my model, so I can separate them into independent objects. I'm going to separate the parts into different build plates according to their color. And for this part that doesn't fit into my printer, I'm going to slice it. But I'm going to make a cut with a connector, which will allow me to achieve a better assembly. With this trick, I save a lot of time in 3D modeling. This other part can be printed in multiple colors without the need of an MMU or an AMS. I just need to change the colors at different heights. And now let's start 3D printing. So now that we finished all the parts for our first laser gun, I'm going to show you my unique and secret filament that is called Poly Smooth. Polysmooth, in fact, is a PVB, and this material is really easy to print. It prints almost like a PLA. But a wonderful thing of this filament is that it works like an ASA and ABS with acetone. But for PVB, we will not use acetone, we will use alcohol. Now being Rick Sanchez makes sense, right?
Break the cycle, Morty. Rise above. Focus on science.
Anyway, thanks to the alcohol fumes, we will smooth out all the surface. I will 3D print all the parts on this PVB filament. We will let this machine printing, and I will go to shop some materials to do the experiments. I went to a local store to see what I could find to enclose my part. I found some transparent plastic boxes, but the largest one wasn't very transparent. So I decided to buy 2 small boxes, which cost me less and will allow me to see the progress of the smoothing process. PVB is super easy to print, but it's very sensitive to moisture, so you have to store it right away once printing is complete. Unfortunately, I didn't manage the print orientation very well. But hey, we need to make some mistakes to learn, right? And here I have the final print. I'm very happy with the result, but I have some issues around here. But that doesn't matter, because we are going to apply alcohol and we are going to see if this works. I know that this part needs to be inside of a container and that the vapor fumes will do the trick. But before that, we are going to test it directly on this support. Now, let's move on to do some experiments. I'm going to apply the alcohol directly to the supports to see what happens. I can see that the material is dissolving a little, and this will cause me some problems later in this video. I'm now going to prepare my smoothing device. I'm going to place some paper at the bottom and sides of the container. And I will soak everything with alcohol. Let's perform a perfect seal with some duct tape. I will leave it aside for a few hours and now move on to assembling the first laser gun. To be honest, I'm very bad at painting with a brush. But as I always say, it is important to try and make mistakes in order to improve. I'm going to use some strong glue to stick everything together. It took me around 15 minutes to perform the assembly and the paint job. Now let's take a look at the PVB parts. And here is my biggest mistake. You need to be careful and avoid letting the parts touch the paper towel because the material will dissolve. And then everything will stick on it. I found the use of PVB very interesting. I can really see that the pieces start to smooth out after a few hours. But I'm a little sad because I didn't prepare my smoothing device properly, and as you saw earlier, the results were not so great. But one thing is for sure, I'm going to have to do more tests because I'm very interested in this filament. And here I have the 2 versions of the laser gun that I made. I'm going to reveal the final result, and after that I'm going to share with you the final cost of fabrication. Let's go. I'm very happy with this final result, and I love this kind of projects. Because with this project, I was able to 3D model it, I also used 3D printed, and I discovered a new filament. And even though I had some mistakes with the smooth of this print, and also with the supports of this other one, that's the important thing of projects. We need to make some mistakes to learn and improve every time. Now I will share with you how much it costs to create these 2 laser guns. First cost will be here, and the second cost will be here. And the only difference is that in this second one I didn't count the labor. So is it better to make it or buy it? Well, at the end, you are the one who decides. That's all for today. If you like this video, please like it and share it. And please support my channel by subscribing. And if you are interested on the STL file of this laser gun, please join my Patreon. I will leave the link down below. See you next time for a new adventure. Pow, pow, pow. Wabadabadabdab! to watch.